What's up guys, I'm George LaHoff, and today I'm going to show you how you can make your very own garage workbench with storage inside of it and an entire setup to go with it. So check it out. I started by clearing off the area in the garage where I intended to set up the workbench, and then measured out the dimensions where I planned to place the bench. This is going to change for everybody's different setup, but for me, I started off cutting a frame that was 1 foot 11 inches by 7 feet long. I then sanded down all the pieces for this frame to get a nice smooth finish for the bench. Then I used a combination of wood glue and screws to ensure it was well secured together. Since this was a large frame, I cut pieces of the 2x4 to use as supports inside of the frame, and I evenly spaced them apart from each other. This also ended up serving well as a divider inside the workbench storage area. I again secured this through a combination of wood glue and screws. I knew with a large bench frame like this that it would be convenient if I could open up only a section of the table at a time so that I could leave everything else I'm working on the other half of the table. So I cut 2 pieces of plywood to half the area of the frame. Also, this is only necessary for the top of the table, although I did do it for the bottom so that I could have more support through shorter pieces of plywood slabs secured on the bottom. I secured this by screwing in screws along the intervals of the length of the plywood. Now it was time to start working on building the legs for this bench. I measured the height of my toolbox since I knew that I wanted to have it sit underneath the bench. Adding in some extra height, I ended up cutting the 2x4s to 2 foot 9 inches in length, and I used this for my legs. I plan to add caster wheels to the setup, so it's important to remember that this would account for an extra 4 inches of height. To secure the legs to the bench, I decided it was finally time to use this Craig pocket hole jig I had bought from Amazon a while ago. Being the first time I used this thing, I found it extremely easy and useful and can't wait to use it again. All I did was clamp the wood in, attach the provided drill bit, and drilled into their guide holes. I then used their provided Craig screws to secure the wood into the tabletop. At first, I had thought the 2x4s would be stable enough for the table, but quickly found out that this was not the case. I cut more 2x4s to the same length, mounted them to the bench through the same Craig pocket screws, and then glued them and clamped them to the 2x4s together. It was now time to add the caster wheels, and my friend Dr. Chris had actually provided me with a great tip. If you buy a dolly from a store like Harbor Freight and get it on sale, it's actually cheaper to just remove the caster wheels from this dolly and use this for the table rather than buying the caster wheels separately. This actually cut the price in half for me, so thanks again, Doc. I attached the wheels to the bottom of the legs using screws and then tested out the table on its feet for the first time. It was holding together pretty well, but I quickly noticed I would have to add supports halfway up the length of the legs to ensure it was sturdy and wouldn't start to bow over time. After measuring the distance between the legs, I cut out some more 2x4s and secured these to the legs using the pocket screws again. By now you should be able to tell how much I enjoyed using this system for support. One cool feature of this bench I wanted to have was to be able to take any notes on a whiteboard as I'm doing my work. I grabbed some of this whiteboard adhesive paper from Amazon and found it to be the perfect solution. If it ever got to the point where the paper was destroyed from the work I was doing, I could easily remove and replace it. It was now time to add the tabletops to the bench. I used 6-inch piano hinges on each half of the table to attach the plywood to the bench. I then added soft closed lid struts to the sides of the tabletops to allow for it to be easier to open the top, but not to have enough pressure to make it hard to close. So with the provided pressure here, if I left the tabletop up, it would actually start to slowly close on its own, and this was perfect. For this, I added 2 of these struts to each side of the tabletop. At this point, the bench is pretty much complete, and it is time to set up the workstation in the corner of my garage. This ended up becoming a very Harbor Freight garage station, since I went on a shopping spree during one of their sales. I first added short 2x4s to space the pegboard off the wall and allowed me to attach hooks to hang various wires and tools from it. I had to add an additional piece of 2x4 to the middle of this setup so that the plywood wouldn't start to bow in the middle. This wouldn't be a problem if I had decided to go with a harder pegboard. I then added a 12 outlet surge protector to the studs in the wall, allowing me to have all the power connections I should need for this bench. Another item I picked up from Harbor Freight was a bin set that could be attached to the studs on the wall as well. I plan to use this to organize any of the loose components I'll have for my projects. Finally, attached my charger from my drill to the wall, and I attached some magnetic strips to the pegboard so that I can have any tools I needed handy during a project. I fit the bench into the worktop, did a little bit of organization, and everything came out pretty well. Alright guys, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and comment below. I try to get back to every single one of you. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate any likes below. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hope this was helpful to you, and thanks again for watching, guys.
You like my new Workbench sign? Huh? Yeah, you do.